Hello and welcome to my top 10 games that I played in 2023. Yeah, this is the first video I record in 2024. It is the 5th of January and yeah, I have not done much, so I decided, you know what, let's do the top 10 games. It's a tradition and I've only really, there's only 13 contenders. So, let's start from the top. On 10th place is Pokemon Sword, and it's a game that I did a Let's Play to, and it was, for a Pokemon game I would say it's bad, but for a game overall I would say it's fine, it's good, it made it to my top 10, that's pretty much all I can say about it. I will say I do like the ability to just switch your Pokemon whenever through the box. I think that's the best change the Pokemon Sword did, because it means that you can have a bunch of different teams that you can switch out. It's pretty easy to make it so that you don't get over leveled, as long as you're willing to use several teams, like 2 or 3 different teams. So, yeah, it's a Pokemon game, but a bad one. Oh, and then number 9, we have Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. And you can probably see on number 8 is The Force Unleashed. You might be, wait a minute, Peach, you finished Force Unleashed 2, but you rage quit The Force Unleashed 1. One of these games you finished, the other one you didn't. And yeah, the one I didn't finish I actually thought was better than the second one, but it was just that one level that made it so I refuse to play anymore. You know, the Star Destroyer level in The Force Unleashed. I'm not playing anymore. I refuse to subject myself to finishing that level so that I can play more of the game. But up until that point, I think the gameplay I got up until that point was better than the entire game of The Force Unleashed 2. Even though I do think The Force Unleashed 2 did some pretty good things when it comes to the lightsabers, how to switch, that you can use, different crystals, and the way that the leveling system works. I think it's better, but I don't know, I think the gameplay and the levels are just worse, and just way more quick time events it feels, and it's the part that I don't like in The Force Unleashed. I don't like quick time events in my video games, and they also made them very hard to see which button to press. I did get a little bit of a headache playing The Force Unleashed 2. But I do like how more ridiculous it is than The Force Unleashed. But still, as a video game, the first one is better than the second. Now, Phoenix Point. Phoenix Point is kind of like a XCOM game. I wanted to play an XCOM game that's not an XCOM. And one of those games was a game called Phoenix Point. And it is pretty interesting. It's not just an XCOM clone, XCOM 2 clone. It has its own unique thing, the way that you can aim your guns, and it's kind of how the weapons work is that your guys will always hit within a circle. So if you have lined the circle up and the circle covers the entirety of someone's body, then you're gonna hit 100% of the time. But the same thing is if they're in cover and the circle is hitting majority of the cover and maybe a little bit on their head, then there is a chance that you're not gonna hit a single shot. All of the shots are gonna go. I like the cover system and that stuff in Phoenix Point. The only thing to me is that it's a bit too difficult in a sense. I think the way that the enemies work with evolving, I think it goes a bit too fast for me. And I think your units, they feel a bit too weak. Yeah, like you don't get like this super cool things, and I don't really like how the faction system worked. I didn't finish Phoenix Point, but it is a game that I feel like I would go back to play. But it does have its kings, where I'm like, I would rather play XCOM than it. But I think it has a lot of cool stuff that's like, man, if this was in a like more polished game in a sense, I think it would be great. And then we have Red Faction Armageddon. I think I did a let's play of this game. But like this is one of the earlier games. Like I think it was the first game I played this year. Red Faction Armageddon. And third person shooter. And I'm trying to think like what do I remember liking the game. It was a fun third person shooter. I do think it might have been like an hour too long. But yeah, I mean, I liked the destruction element of it, of being able to destroy the environment, and I quite liked the weapon variety, even though at the end I tended to go to like 2 to 3 different guns and stick to those. But yeah, it was a fun little one and done. You play it once and never go back. Then XCOM Chimera Squad. Yeah, this is, you're basically playing like a SWAT team in this, so it's very, very different from the like XCOM or XCOM 2. Because you have like maximum of 4 units that you play with each mission, and you're doing like breaches. Like each level are like 2, maybe like 1 to 3 stages, while the like last like the boss missions at the end are like 5 stages. But I liked it. I mean, I think it's good as like a just little side game. I don't think I would like if XCOM 3 came out and it was like this. I would not like it. I like, well, I guess I preferred here like original XCOM. They have like a bunch of units. But it was a fun little thing. Every single character feels very unique in XCOM, the Chimera Squad, and how they play. I will say the humor and the story and all that is terrible. It's absolutely horrific. But I did start to play after like an hour. I said, I'm not gonna play this game with sound. So I just removed all sound from the game and I was like listening to ASMR while playing it. So yeah. But I still read the dialogue and I'm like, oh my god, this is horrific. So I think my enjoyment of this probably is a bit higher than it might have been if I didn't mute all sound. But the gameplay itself I think is fun. I played 2 campaigns. One where I first targeted, I think, the psychics. Like I first went for the aliens, and then like the psychic guys, and then like the human, whatever they were. And then I play the game the same way, but the other way around. And there's a little bit of change, not necessarily the story, all that, it's the same, but kind of like the equipment you get is a bit different depending on which route you go first. Because depending on which agent, which like terrorist group you target first, you get different techs and different like abilities depending on who you target first. But I do think XCOM Chimera Squad, like it really, if you don't like having like hyper specialized units, like, and units are like completely different from each other, while still only being able to use 4 in each mission. Like you start with I think 5, but you can only use 4 in each mission. And then after a couple missions, you can like hire one more, and one more until you have like a group of 8, I think. But you still can't use 8. Like you have 8, and then you use 4, and then 4 in reserve, so you can switch out and stuff. That was fun. And number 4, Let's Go Peerless Pikachu. Yeah, this is a game I live streamed, and I think maybe my enjoyment of this got a lot better because of the live stream. Because I enjoyed playing the game while just talking to people in chat. It was very like relaxed for me. I did not really use a specific like I didn't really care about level limit or like Pokemon to use. I was just, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna use Pokemon that I normally don't use and just have fun, try new stuff. And yeah, I did. I think this mod for Peerless Pikachu, well, Let's Go Pikachu. Peerless Pikachu is a mod of Let's Go Pikachu. And yeah, I think it was good, very fun. It was like a casual mod, I think. That did make the game a bit harder, but I mean, it's not like the other Pokemon mods that I've played. It also made me go like, I actually really liked how the Let's Go Pikachu games looked. And I felt like when I played it, like, it felt like the people who created the game actually had some love and care for it that I didn't really feel when I played Pokemon Sword. It felt like it had more love to it. You could feel like some emotions for playing it. I mean, watch my streams and you know what I mean. You know, being able to ride your Pokemon and fly on your Pokemon, just walk with them, it's nice. And then at number 3 we have Total War Warhammer 3. So yeah, the third game is on the 3rd spot. And yeah, I mean, it's just like the other Total War Warhammer games, 1 and 2, but with more factions and improved, you know. I will say the base campaign for Total War Warhammer 3, like the story campaign, is like horrific with the portals and like how dragged out it feels. Like, man, it just feels like it is like 80% filler. So yeah, like the story campaign I think is worse in Total War Warhammer 3 than 2. I think 2 has a better base campaign, but I mean, you don't really tend to play the base campaign that much. You play like the Mortal Empires campaign, which is just a free-for-all, like open sandbox basically of all the maps of Total War Warhammer, like 1, 2 and 3, all those maps put together to create a huge like map, and you just fight. And yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good Total War game. And yeah, it's a thumbs up for me, you know, with the gameplay. Let's see. Oh, well, there we go. On number 2 we have Saints Row 4 Re-Elected. I haven't played the Saints Row game. I've played Saints Row 3 many years ago. I want to say probably like 10 years ago, maybe even more. Before I even had this YouTube channel. That's when I played Saints Row 3, and I played that with a friend, and we had a lot of fun. We didn't really understand what was going on at the time, but we were just having fun. you know, playing the game. When I played Saints Row 4 Re-Elected, I kind of got some of that fun again. But like in a single player mode. I like how wacky it is. I was actually quite invested in the story in a sense. With, you know, with Johnny Gat and all that stuff. Like, I think it's a very good like sequel to the last game. And also very fun that Joe Carter is basically like the president of the United States, and it just doesn't take itself seriously at all, but it also takes itself seriously. It's kind of like a game that's like, it's obviously unserious, very goofy, but it's still serious to itself within its own confines of the universe. I like the superpowers. I will say the thing that I didn't like about this game was kind of like the last boss fight against like the main villain of this game, the alien guy. I think he's the weakest part of this game. I kind of like don't like him as a character, that is. I think he's pretty boring, but everything else in the game I had a lot of fun with. And yeah, I mean, I didn't play all of the DLCs, I didn't do that. I finished the game and I played through some of the DLCs here and there while I was playing the game. And yeah, I mean, I think if you've played Saints Row 3, I think you're really gonna like Saints Row 4. But if it is your first Saints Row game, I think you're gonna hate it. Maybe. I mean, do you need to play Saints Row 3 really for the story? Probably not, but I would recommend play 3, then 4. Maybe even play 2, but I didn't play 2. But I think there are some story elements that I missed because I didn't play 2. But it was a fun game. Would I ever replay it? No. I don't think it's a game you can replay. I think you play it once and that's it. And then at number 1, Pokemon GS Chronicles. Yeah, and this is a Pokemon, well, I don't know, would you call it mod, like ROM hack or whatever, of the Heart Gold Soul Silver games. But it's a completely new story. It's a really good, it's like, it feels like it's set like a few years, like 2 years after Heart Gold Soul Silver. And I mean, I really liked the battles, the rivals. This is the one where I think I only used a bug team in Pokemon GS Chronicles. I was being like a bug catcher, and that made the game like very, very, very fun. And it's just a really good Pokemon game. Like, as a Pokemon game, it's really good. I think last year, in 2022, my favorite game was Pokemon Inclement Emerald. I don't think this is as good as Pokemon Inclement Emerald, but it's not like horrific. Like, it's like slightly below Inclement Emerald. I mean, what more can I say other than that? I did a let's play of this. I would recommend that let's play if you want to see more. I was gushing over this a lot, but I mean, that's a very high praise from me, saying it's like Inclement Emerald, but said in Johto instead of Emerald, or in Hoenn. That, I mean, like on that level, that is just slightly below, and yeah, it's great. Man, that made me tired. So, thank you for watching and goodbye.